Zachary Taylor was born on November 24, 1784, in Orange County, Virginia, to Richard and Sarah Dabney Strother Taylor. Taylor and his family moved to Louisville, Kentucky after he was born. He was raised on the plantation where his father enslaved many people. Taylor was educated in the typical fashion of the time. His mother taught him to read and write, and he attended local schools when possible. Growing up, Taylor wanted to join the military, and to no surprise, when he turned 22, Taylor enlisted. He became an officer in the United States Army in 1808. In 1810, Taylor married Margaret Mackle Smith, and they had 6 children. He bought Cypress Grove Plantation in Mississippi. Taylor had a successful military career. He fought on the borders of the frontier during a critical time of American expansion. He was part of many battles during the War of 1812. He was an aide to General Samuel Hopkins on 2 expeditions in the Illinois Territory. In 1817, he was the commander of Fort Howard in the Michigan Territory. He was then promoted to lieutenant colonel and dined with President James Monroe and future President Andrew Jackson. Taylor returned to the Michigan Territory during the Black Hawk War. He commanded Fort Snelling and Fort Crawford. During this time, General Jefferson Davis asked Taylor for a courtship with his daughter. Taylor denied Davis, saying that he did not want his daughter to be a military wife. The Second Seminole War sent Taylor to Florida. He commanded multiple forts and commanded multiple battles. He was promoted to brigadier general and gained the nickname Rough and Rowdy. He was also criticized for sicking bloodhounds on Seminoles. His military career peaked in the Mexican-American War. He won many victories and defeated prominent Mexican general Antonio Lopez de Santa Anna at the Battle of Buena Vista. Taylor and the American forces were outnumbered but held their ground, forcing the Mexican army to retreat. Future General Ulysses S. Grant served under Taylor during the conflict. Taylor's wealth also increased. He owned multiple plantations in Louisiana, Mississippi, and Louisville, and enslaved hundreds of people to keep the properties. With his growing popularity and his newly proclaimed military pedigree, Taylor entered the political ring. He was nominated to run for president by the Whig Party in 1848. Taylor was a political outsider and appealed to Northern and Southern voters. He was a slaveholder, so that made the South happy, and he was a nationalist, so that made the North happy. His opponent was Democratic candidate Lewis Case and Free Soil Party candidate former President Martin Van Buren. Taylor became the 12th President of the United States. He won 163 of the 290 Electoral College votes. In the popular tally, he won 47.3% of the vote, and Case had 42.5%. He offered John Crittenden the position of Secretary of State, but Crittenden declined so he could serve as Kentucky's governor. The biggest issue of Taylor's presidency was the land acquired during the Mexican-American War. The new territories included New Mexico, California, and Utah. More importantly, should slavery be expanded into these territories? Taylor did not support the expansion of slavery, but continued to own slaves. Taylor encouraged the people in these territories to apply for statehood. California was experiencing the gold rush, and the population was exploding. Some Southern leaders threatened secession. Taylor said that he would lead the army himself to preserve the law, and he would hang those who rebelled against the Union. In 1850, Taylor attended ceremonies at the Washington Monument. President Taylor became sick and died on July 9, 1850. Vice President Millard Fillmore became president, and a few months after Taylor's death, he signed the Compromise of 1850, solving many of the problems President Taylor faced during his administration. I hope you've enjoyed learning about Zachary Taylor. He was a Kentucky son and forged his early success in the state. Even though his time in Kentucky was not as prominent in his later years, he was an important figure from Kentucky's history. He is one of 3 people who became president from Kentucky, but he is often overlooked by the 2 other presidents from Kentucky. He is only one of the 3 to have a county named after him. Taylor County, the 100th county of Kentucky, was named after President Zachary Taylor. Don't forget to try out audibletrial.com/kyhistorypod to get a free book of your choosing. If you'd like to support the channel, check out our Patreon page at patreon.com/kyhistorypod. Like, subscribe, and hit the notification button for more Kentucky history content. Find us on these social media platforms and check out the Kentucky History Podcast on these podcast platforms for more in-depth history of Kentucky. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.